How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another video. The FTC saga doesn't end. Of course, Microsoft had to have a reply, and as post up here has published, you can see clearly here, update Microsoft ABK. Microsoft responds to the FTC stating their claims are misleading regarding the changes to Game Pass. Now, I have actually heard something even more striking today that blew my mind, that the FTC's argument, believe it or not, hinged fully on quoting Tom Warren. Yeah, you heard me right. The FTC's argument, in fact, the actual passage that they put in to their complaint to the District 9th Court was one-to-one quoting Tom Warren. And now you guys turn around and tell me, why do I think this guy has a hate boner for Xbox and wants to see it literally collapse? Do I need to say more about this guy? He literally hates the even thought of Xbox existing. But this isn't a Tom Warren video, but I just wanted to put it out there that the FTC's sole quoting argument was from Tom Warren. Let that sink in. That's how desperate the FTC has become, that they are going to a pure pony shill to actually get their information. They're not even doing a non-biased research into things to see what is what. They are literally going to a pony shill who pretty much funds his way through with lies and make up stories to actually go after Microsoft. It's crazy, right? But anyway, so we have this actual declaration response from Rakesh Kilaru, and I'm just going to go through this and talk about it because I think it's really interesting as to how Microsoft is challenging the FTC and in what they say and where this is actually going. But if you are enjoying this content and want to help me get to my next milestone of 7,250 subs, you know what you need to do. You need to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that bell to stay up to date with all content I release. And if you're enjoying this content, you can definitely support me further through my YouTube membership, Super Thanks, or of course my Patreon. Well, now we're going to get on with the show because this is interesting. And just a quick shout out to my other channels. I do stream over at Twitch on Mondays and Wednesdays, and I do try to add an extra day towards the weekend. And of course, I've got my other channel which focuses on gaming, which me and my son are now running, TheChaosLounge Gaming, pretty much youtube.com/@ChaosLounge Gaming with the @ and you'll find it. And hopefully you'll enjoy the content you're seeing there. That is being run pretty much by me and my son, but hopefully you'll check it out. Okay, shameless plug out of the way. Let's see this. So, dear Miss Dyer, the FTC's Rule 28 letter presents a misleading extra record account of the facts and is a continuation of the agency's attempt to reinvent its case on appeal. So, the whole appeal that the FTC made up to this point has been on the fact that the preliminary injunction that was not granted by Jacqueline Corley was wrong, and that at the end of the day they appealed based on that. All of this information that the FTC is trying to bring in as supportive evidence should not even be factored in to the overall ruling. What this whole case petitions on is whether Jacqueline Corley's actual decision, verdict, judgment was lawful or not. But the FTC here is trying to muddy the waters by bringing in external factors which should not be allowed to even happen because it is not pertinent to the case at hand. The case itself right now is whether the actual decision to not grant that preliminary injunction was lawful or not. That is what this 9th District Court case is about, but the FTC is trying to muddy the water by bringing in external factors that, even though might broadly be applicable, they're not specifically succinct to the actual point of what the case is and have no overall bearing on whether Jacqueline Corley's decision was correct or not. Because at the time, with the evidence provided, her decision was valid and true, right? Earlier this month, Microsoft announced changes to its gaming subscription service, Game Pass, to provide consumers valuable options at different price points. Microsoft is offering a new service tier, Game Pass Standard, which offers access to hundreds of back catalog games and multiplayer functionality for $14.99 per month. So previously you had the $10.99 with no Xbox Live, and people were complaining that they're not getting the full experience from Xbox Game Pass because they can't play on live. So that's what the general consensus complaints were that I was seeing on X. And, despite telling them that you do have an option to go to Game Pass Ultimate, they were saying, no, I want multiplayer on my $10.99 tier, which was delusional in itself. It is wrong to call this degraded version of the discontinued Game Pass for console offering. That discontinued product did not offer multiplayer functionality. So what Microsoft is saying here is they're saying it's degraded, but we've actually done one better and given everyone now, throughout the whole of the tiers, multiplayer access. Whether you're on the core, you're on standard, or you're on ultimate, it doesn't matter. You will have online Xbox Live access. So now that is uniform across the board. Now, I know people like Colt Eastwood are saying that they should get rid of the whole Xbox Live requirement. I get that, especially with PC having it free for all these years and it working with the likes of, we've transitioned from, TeamSpeak to, Mumble to Ventrilo to Discord, and over time we've gone, and I think we've pretty much stabilized on Discord now when it comes on PC to online communication, but who knows what that will change to in 10 years time or 15 years time. But with the consoles, it's kind of been standard. It's always been their own party chat service going through and through, and now they're saying we've unified that with this approach. But like we've put something forward to make the proposition more valuable and provide more value to the actual service, we've had to balance that out. The discontinued product did not also offer multiplayer functionality, which had to be purchased separately for an additional $9.99 per month, making the total cost $20.98 per month if you bought it separately. So there's a bit of money, numbers play here, because you could easily just buy it for a year for $60 for Game Pass Core. And then if you've got console as well, then that becomes $180, which is technically I guess in the UK anyway, it comes to about the same. I guess in the US, it may work a little differently, but it comes to the same. While Game Pass Ultimate's price will increase from $16.99 to $19.99 per month, the service will offer more value through many new games available day and date. Among them is the upcoming release of Call of Duty, which has never before been available on a subscription day and date. Now, the next part here is the important part. The FTC barely mentioned a subscription at trial because the Game Pass subscription was never, a question here. James Weingarten of the FTC did say to Judge Corley at the time, as a fleeting question, can Sony get Call of Duty onto their PlayStation Plus subscription for free? And Judge Corley said, no, they are still a business. If Sony wants it on their service, they need to pay for it. It will eventually become their IP. They cannot get it for free. But, the FTC even then tried to get the game onto the PS Plus service for Sony for free. Now tell me they're not in Sony's pockets. Anyway, the district court correctly rejected that theory, which is now further eroded by Microsoft and Sony's 10-year agreement to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation, a contract Sony was thrilled to enter. Now, it's also worth pointing out that the whole argument of the FTC throughout the whole trial was based solely around Call of Duty and the fact that Microsoft would foreclose and keep the game away from everyone else, basically making it full-time exclusive to Xbox. And so people that are on PlayStation or Nintendo or PC would have to go over to Xbox in order to continue playing it. And that is not the case. The FTC's sole argument throughout the whole trial was Call of Duty and protecting Sony's interest, not the consumer's interest. They're not there to protect the consumer. Even though that is their primary objective, in this case, their primary objective was to protect Sony and Sony's bottom line by making sure that Call of Duty would not be foreclosed. And that was their whole argument, that Microsoft could at any point turn around after the, whether it's, right now it's a 10-year contract, but at the time that wasn't known. when they first put the case in, because Sony were refusing that 10-year deal and saying they could just make it exclusive the next year and then people would lose out. I totally get that, but that has now been put to bed. So the whole argument that the FTC had is over. They literally have nothing to stand on. Their whole basis of their whole case for this preliminary injunction was Microsoft foreclosing Call of Duty. And that's not happened because they've got a 10-year contract. You've got Call of Duty on GeForce Now. You're going to have Call of Duty on Boosteroid and everything else. It's ridiculous to think that this is still happening, and it's going to happen because, hey, look, I get it. People don't like money. The FTC clearly doesn't like money because they like to waste it. But I can guarantee you, companies like Microsoft, Nvidia, they like money. That's what keeps the company rotating. They like money. So if you think for a split second that they're going to take it off PlayStation or PC and not put it on the Nintendo Switch 2 and lose all of that, box product revenue and the microtransaction revenue, you are delusional. Call of Duty is one of the games where you just cannot do that. It's too big. But anyway, that was their whole argument, and it failed. And the appeal, what Microsoft is saying here, should be based on that and that alone. That is what the case was about. The FTC now coming in and adding all of this stuff into it is totally irrelevant. 100% factually irrelevant, because that's not what they appealed on. They appealed on the decision that Judge Corley made regarding the preliminary injunction that Microsoft may foreclose Call of Duty. And that was found to be not the case. It says, while the FTC has now tried to shift focus to its alleged subscription market because they've realized that there is no way in hell that they're going to win the original point, which is what their appeal is on, so the 9th District Court should already throw this out of the window. You can't just change your focus, right? You can't do that. You've appealed on a set point. That case needs to close. End of story. And the fact that the 9th District Circuit is even entertaining this is ridiculous. Its letter does not map onto its arguments below, setting aside that it is common for businesses to change services offerings over time. And we've seen this with Sony, where they had their standalone PlayStation Now at £30 in the UK. Then it went to £50 in the UK, and then it went to £120 locked behind a premium paywall. But that's okay, folks. You've seen Netflix changing their pricing strategies. You've seen, Amazon Prime changing their pricing strategies and what they offer, adding ads into the service. This is all changing what you used to pay for. But you know what? It's okay with those. They don't care, right? It's okay. The FTC's case in all of its alleged markets has always been premised on vertical foreclosure, i.e. that Microsoft would withhold Call of Duty from rivals and therefore harm competition. And that is the only point that matters. None of this external stuff matters. None of it at all. And the 9th District Court should disregard everything else. The fact is, has Microsoft up until now foreclosed Call of Duty, making it exclusive on Xbox? The answer is no. End of story, case closed, period. The FTC has no case here. But even in the alleged subscription market, Call of Duty is not being withheld from anyone who wants it. And there remains no evidence anywhere of harm to competition. PlayStation fans can go and buy the game if they want to. There's no stopping them doing that. The game is feature-wise going to be parity. And that's going to be the same with the Switch 2 when it ever lands, once they beat the PS2 to the most sold units. Sony's subscription service continues to thrive. It does, even as they put few new games into their subscription day and date, unlike Microsoft. The transaction thus continues to benefit competition and consumers, exactly what the District Court correctly found. The FTC literally here has no basis. This is a signed, sealed, and delivered message that the FTC is full of shit and should just stop this crusade that they're on. This is a crusade. They've got no legal ground here. The whole appeal to the 9th District Court was based on them, a vertical foreclosure, them basically making Call of Duty exclusive. And that has not happened. And that is what they're appealing, that Microsoft could still do this, right? Adding in the whole number of staff that were laid off or the changes to Call of Duty, that does not come into the decision that was made on the fact that Microsoft would not make this game exclusive. And that is still the case to this day and will be the case for the next 10 years. Who knows where gaming is going to be in the next 10 years? Who knows if Xbox and PlayStation will even exist in 10 years? Everything is moving quite rapidly to different forms of media where everyone can enjoy their content wherever they are, be it on their Steam Deck, be it on their G Cloud, or be it on their TV. Once the infrastructure is there, will you even need a console if the latency is so good that you don't notice anything? Who knows? Time will tell. But for now, the FTC has no standing. The FTC has no platform and no ruling. And at this point, one has to assume that what the FTC is doing breaches, at least some ethical law, where they're basically trying to coerce the courts into a decision where the information should not even be looked upon, considered, because the whole point here, as it says over here, the FTC's case in all of its alleged markets has always been premised on vertical foreclosure, that Microsoft would withhold Call of Duty from its rivals and therefore harm competition. And that is not the case. So until Microsoft does that and makes it exclusive, then the FTC has no legal ground to stand on to continue pursuing this. And the 9th District Court, I'm hoping, will see sense and law, for that matter, right? Factual law, factual evidence that this is not the case, and throw this case out and we can all move on with our lives. But anyway, that's the video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. What do you think of the FTC's case here? And the fact that they are citing Tom Warren of all people. And you guys come at me and tell me, what is your beef with Tom Warren? That guy is a joke. His whole social profile exists to just take out Microsoft, and it's not working. They are paid a hell of a lot more than you, Tom. And no matter what you try to do and what propaganda and bullshit you try to spread, it ain't working. I'm hoping that the US courts system and the people that actually are paid a hell of a lot more money know what the hell they're doing and can see right from wrong. But hey, that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that discussion, and I will see you in the next one. As always,